Hello everybody and welcome back to My Little Pony What Works. Season 7 felt like a very middle-of-the-road season. Overall, it wasn't as good as Season 4, but it wasn't as bad as Season 6. It's in between Seasons 2 and 3 for the 4th generation of ponies, mostly because a lot of the episodes were okay at best. So there isn't much to talk about for a full top 10, but it doesn't mean you can't show the highlights and missteps of the season. So, here are the best and worst episodes of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, Season 7. I wasn't sure whether to put this episode or Hard to Say Anything as the number 5 pick, but I ultimately went with Fame and Misfortune, simply because it made me laugh more. I like when the show staff can be inclusive with the fans of the show and not be afraid to throw meta humor around. Initially, I thought after watching the episode, all reviews from here on out are invalid, but people are still able to talk about the characters' strengths and flaws, and their lessons still ring true for all generations, even if we interpret morals and characters differently from how the show intended. I don't think it's as good as Stranger Than fanfiction in terms of a plot surrounding fandom, but it's still a fun slice of meta humor to watch every now and again.
You're so vain. You probably think this song is about you.
Fluttershy Leans In would otherwise be a decent episode for her character if it wasn't for one major problem with the moral. It's neglecting a greater problem with dreams versus reality. Limitations. In the episode's case, Fluttershy was technically in the right when it came to dismissing the 3 experts because they went against her vision. In a real-life sense, those experts would be questioning the client, saying her aspirations are too outlandish or too vague. There are many factors that go into making, constructing, or creating a work. One of the big ones is how much the contractor can provide given the client's requests. Sometimes the grand idea is too much for the builder or artist to work on because they do not have the means to do so. If an architect from the real world saw the vague and overreaching ideas, Fluttershy would have been rejected on the spot. Instead, the episode takes the "my opinion is the only opinion that matters" standpoint. And if anyone watched my editorial on My Little Pony Microseries number 4 in criticism, you would know why that mentality is horseshit.
And I was like, baby, 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 baby.
You know, people say that the best form of birth control is other people's kids. Well, if those kids are as cute and adorable as Flurry Heart in A Flurry of Emotions, consider me fertile. Most of this episode is Flurry Heart being cute and Twilight taking on the role of aunt while balancing other tasks for the day. Then again, it's Flurry Heart being cute and Twilight acting as aunt for the day. I mean, how much more adorable can this episode get? The answer is none. None more adorable.
Got a secret, can you keep it? Swear this one you'll save. Better lock it in your pocket, taking this one to the grave.
This episode is filler. It's pointless filler about a plot that would fit right at home in My Little Pony tales. Yes, Secrets and Pies is a G1.5 episode in G-Force clothing. You know, Pony Point of View is an episode I love and hate at the same time because of the morals surrounding communication between friends. We all joke if someone spoke up, none of this would have been an issue, but there would be no episode. This episode has me believe Rainbow Dash had not been communicating with Pinkie Pie for years about not liking her pies. Forget about dancing around an issue, this is running a marathon around an issue with how contrived the setup is. It's rare to see an episode for me get personal. There are very few I can think of off the top of my head. Ponyville Confidential, Read It and Weep, Stranger Than Fanfiction, Brotherhood Social, sort of. Discord and Harmony, however, had a more recent effect on me. It's interesting to see what years of interacting with each other can have on each person. Discord, when setting up a tea party, took into account who Fluttershy was and attempted to make things comfortable for her. In the meantime, Fluttershy's interactions with the chaotic being has her become more open and extroverted. It reminds me a lot of my relationship with my girlfriend. She is an introvert and I have to keep in mind social situations are not her forte. However, hanging out with me and meeting my friends and family has gotten her to interact more and open up. It's the little things that go a long way. There was some controversy about Fame and Misfortune and whether or not it was mean-spirited toward the fans. Honestly, I saw it more as a playful jab of all the common criticisms we had toward the show back in, Season 4 behind. You know, Fluttershy keeps on learning the same lesson, Twilight was better without her wings, etc. However, I'm not going to talk about how Once Upon a Zeppelin is spiteful because that would make me an idiot. No, instead, I'm going to talk about how incompetent this episode is. Because everyone outside of the royal family was hit with the idiot stick. Not only does Iron Will not know how to run an event like this, he has committed at least 3 crimes with this whole princess cruise: pony napping, blackmail, and obtaining property under false pretenses. Twilight has the advantage, and she doesn't pull rank on him, arresting him on sight. Twilight's parents aren't much help either. Seriously, who signs up for a free cruise, no questions asked? This episode is dumb, and I feel dumb after watching it. This episode leaked early, and pretty much everyone said it was amazing and a contender for the best episode of the season. To avoid the hype train, I waited until the actual air date in the United States, and had to wonder, was it as good as everyone made it out to be? And I say, yes, The Perfect Pair is that good. Regardless if this is mostly based on fan speculation of Applejack's parents, it's still a great love story. Brightback and Pear Butter's romantic chemistry is canonically the best in the show. We saw them grow up, we saw them interact during the family feud and how they avoided it. We see them in the best and worst parts of their relationship. And as we see the story unfold, we understand the traits they pass down to their kids. There's no other word to describe their relationship other than precious. It's one of the best slice-of-life episodes of the entire show.
When you're out at a club and you see a fly girl, do the creep, and do the creep.
You want to know why A Friend Indeed works as a Pinkie Pie episode? Because it highlights her strengths and weaknesses when it comes to friend making. Sure, she can be a little upfront about things, but she had the best intentions when trying to befriend Cranky. Hell, she made things right by giving him a spa treatment and replacing his ratty wig with one on loan from Johnny Bravo. Rock solid friendship is what happens when you turn the flaws up to 11 and it overshadows her strengths. I made the comparison on Twitter to how sketchy the Changeling saw Pinkie Pie, and it shows! Pinkie Pie would not go to the lengths of blowing up a cavern just so 2 ponies can bond. Not to mention the stupid decision to place Maud at the founding of our town retroactively. It hurts 2 characters just so one can look not as bad.
Put your hands in the air if you hear me out there. I've been looking for you day and night. Shine a light in the dark, let me see where you are, 'cause I'm not gonna leave you behind.
Shadowplay is awesome. It's the best season finale since Twilight's Kingdom, and it's all because of one word.
Continuity.
Now, there are those who say continuity isn't important. It's just a buzzword to get us reviewers creaming our pants. But I say continuity is important. You want to know why? Because it means the creative staff is paying attention to what they're writing for the long term. We love seeing lore and events from past episodes followed up on. Hell, the fact that the chain events reach all the way to Josh Haber's first episode is a testament unto itself. Besides, if continuity weren't important, all characters in said show would not develop or learn from past events. Speaking of development, Twilight and Starlight were the stars of the 2-parter. It's great to see Twilight in her bookwormy, socially awkward self geeking out over the chance to meet her magical idol, but in the end, had to be reminded by her student that there's always another way to solving the issue outside of blowing a pony up to smithereens. Speaking of that student, Starlight really came through in this episode as a pony who learned from her past mistakes and applying it to the current situation. Is she fully redeemed? Hard to say. I'm still waiting on that full redemption with someone who has yet to forgive her, but for now, Starlight is alright in my book. I can describe this episode in one word. Pain! All bottled up is nothing but pain! I will give this episode one thing. The moral is very good. It demonstrates the dangers of bottling up your emotions well. That being said, the B-plot was boring, the song is one of the worst in the show, and Trixie is an awful, awful character that makes me wonder why she's friends with Starlight. The two have terrible chemistry between themselves, and it feels like the relationship is centered around passive abuse. Give Starlight some credit where credit is due. At least she makes the effort to come across as a reasonable and well-meaning pony in Equestria in spite of the things she's done. Trixie Lullamoon is a fucking load that deserved everything that happened to her when Starlight could no longer bottle up her emotions. And when she had the gall to say, I didn't learn a lesson because where would the fun in that be, I almost punched my laptop in rage. This character does not belong in a show entitled Friendship is Magic because her view of friendship is consequenceless and toxic. This episode is fucking awful.